Kubernetes class where I'll be showing you how to start a project that has a front-end, back-end, and a database. We'll be using MongoDB. So I've seeded into this project. I'm just going to open it in Visual Studio Code, and here is the project. Okay. So this is the project here. It has a front end and a back end. This is the back end. In the back end, there is a Docker file, which you use to create an artifact of the project, a Docker image of the project. And the same way with the front end, it has a Docker file, and this is the Docker file. Yeah. And this, both the front end and the back end already exist in an image as an image file in my dockerhub. I'll not go through that because we've gone through that class already, how to create an image and everything about Docker. So I'll just jump right into Kubernetes, how to launch a Kubernetes instance. And so this is a three-tier application: front-end, back-end, and MongoDB. Okay, so let's go to the configuration files. I'll start with the backend. Okay, so this is the configuration. This is the deployment file. It's a kind of deployment. The metadata, I named it backend -books, and the match labels is also backend -books. Backend -books. It's the image, like I said earlier, that I've created the image and it's in my Docker hub. This is the direct. This is the link to my Docker hub. Jadi Solax / books I read with a tag of 5.0. The container, the port is running on is 4343, and after that we have the service configuration here. It's a type of load balancer, and I'm using the same 4343. And let me go to the front end. This is the front end, and because it's the front end, it has a node port of 33001, and it also has a type of load balancer. And I'll go to the mongo.yaml, and so for the MongoDB, it requires an environmental variable, and this is the environmental variable. This is the environmental variable from line 22 to 32. Let me increase the fonts. Yeah. Okay, so okay. Mongo init. Okay, so you get this from Docker file. From the Docker file, this is the backend configuration deployment, and it's a kind of deployment. The name is backend -books. That's the name I've given it. I use the same name for the selectors. The same thing here, backend -books. It's just good that all the apps, you give them the same name, because what they do is that they match each other. So if you give this backend, this app here, a different name, here uh, this would not be able to locate it, because it's with this tag that it connects, it identifies the pod. This is the service. The service will be looking for this tag here to connect with it, to bind with it here. So, like I said earlier, I've created the image and it's in my Docker hub, and this is the direction to my Docker hub. And it's not, I've put it on a port 4343, the same thing with the service. The same goes for the front end. The front end is running on port 3000, and I've given it a type of load balancer, and it's on a node port of 33001. And for the node ports, the numbers in the node port can the numbers that you can use for the node port is between 33,000 and 32,600 and something. And then we go to mongo.yaml deployment, and this is the configuration for it. I've given a replica of one. You can you can this is a variable, as many replicas as you want. Yeah, that is logically needed. Then we have this part from line 22 to 32 is the environmental variable, because yeah, the database require an environmental variable. That has to do with the credentials by which requests will be made. Whenever you want to make a request to a database, there has to be an exchange of keys to authenticate that this request is is not from a malicious user. And so all these credentials has to be coded into the configuration file. And here I am using I'm using a secret.yaml and a config map.yaml. So that is why it's a secret key ref. And so these references are being masked, encrypted here. Where is it? Yeah. So the data, the root user has been encrypted. I don't want to expose the password. That is why I'm using a secret. And so they've been encrypted here. And so the first thing I'm going to do is to apply them on the instance. And when they are applied, uh, they are stored in the instance as a secret. And so when we then run the when we then run the deployment for mongodb and the deployment for mongo express, they will then look for the secret. The secret will be applied to the deployment. Instead of it being exposed in the code, it won't be exposed in the code. And that's all about that. This is the configuration file for Mongo Express. Mongo Express requires three three uh, three credentials. The first one will be line 23. May config mongodb admin username. Then line 28. May config mongodb admin password. Then line 33, which is may config mongodb server. And for the server, the config map is the configuration file that will undo that. And so the first thing to do is to apply both the secret and the config map. So now I'll go to my terminal, and I'm already in the directory of the project, and ls, you can see all the files. And so the first thing to apply will be the secrets. So that will be kubectl apply -f. It's a file. Mongo secrets. Yeah. Secret mongodb secrets unchanged. I've applied it before, that's why it says unchanged, meaning I didn't modify anything in the file. The next will be kubectl apply -f mongo config map. Same thing. Then the next thing is to apply for mongo.yaml deployment created. Let us see. Get pods. So it's already running, and if I'm to do get service, the service is also running. Here it is. So the next thing to apply is Mongo Express. Yeah, Mongo Express created. Let's see the pod. Container creating. Let's see the service. Mongo Express. Load balancer. Local host. Let's see the pod again. Is it now running? So it's now running. If I go to my browser, go to localhost 8081. Let's see. Uh, it's not working here. Mongo Express service localhost 8081. Yeah, should be working. Oh, okay, it's now up. The default password is admin and pass. And okay, there it is. Mongo Express is now running. So let's go back here and apply for the backend and then the front end. Let me clear my screen. kubectl apply backend YAML. Okay, created. Let's see the pods. Container creating. Let me log it. Oh. Okay, so it has started. So if I do this again, get pods, it's running. Good. Backend started. Node server is running. So for the front end, again, the pods. So it is creating container, creating, check again. Error. Oh, there's an error from the backend. But the front end is now running, and let's check. The front end is on what port? Let me QCT here. Get SVC. 3000. Oh, is it on 3000? 3001? Okay, it's 3. Okay. Yeah, it's on port 3000. It's okay. It's now working. Yeah. So this is the application. It's now up and running. And that's it. Okay, so that's the application. The application is not up to date, but that is how you deploy a 3-tier application, front end, back end, and database. You remember that the database uh, has its own environmental variables, and where's this code? Oh dear. Yeah. So they have their environmental variables, which you need to add And of course, you should always hide your environmental. You shouldn't expose your credentials, your password, your user name, your server URL. Everything should be passed through a secret configuration file, which are uh, the secret.yaml and the config map.yaml. Here is the config map.yaml. It is how to write it. You you pass the you pass the mongodb service. So this mongodb service is coming from here. Here, the service of the mongodb. So the name, the metadata, the name you give the mongodb service is will correspond to what you have here. The config map, what you have here. You pass a value here, and that is the value that will be here. Uh, that's the value that will be here in the part for the server, me config mongodb server. So it's using the mongodb config map you created, and the key is database underscore URL, the same as this. And for the secret, this is what it looks like. Username, password, value from key secret ref. The name of the secret file is mongodb secret, and the key is mongo root password. Come here, mongo root password. This is hash 64 created. Okay, so this is how to create with hash 64. Let me with base 64. Sorry, base 64. Echo z dash n. Then the password I want to use, let me say password, pass it through a pipe, base 64. I think I'm correct. Yes. So this is how to use to base 64 encode a password or a username or whatever you want to encode. And so this is it. You copy this. What we've just done is we've just encrypted a password, but definitely you are not going to use password. You are going to use something more unpredictable. Or maybe we should do another one. Let me base 64 encode something else. 5 T H 69 D F K K dollar. And so that is the base 64 encryption. So that will be all for this class. And to terminate the instances or servers, this is what you do. Uh, and this is what you do. kubectl delete -f mongo. So that is deleted. Mongo Express deleted. Frontend or backend gone. And frontend. Let's even try to get the pod and see what is there. Oh, sorry, there's an error there. As you can see, it's just remaining the front end, backend, MongoDB, Mongo Express, they are gone. Delete. Yeah. Everything is gone. And let's try to get pod again. And see, the front end is terminating. Let's get service. All the services are gone. So that brings us to the end of this class. Thank you.